Hey guys, how you guys doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. So today we're going to take a look at the differences between a desktop environment and an actual window manager. Some new to Linux users are probably wondering what that is. They've heard them thrown around interchangeably and it can be confusing. So I just kind of want to clarify that. Before we start today's video though, please hit that thumbs up button, the subscribe button if you have not subscribed yet, and also the notification button, and maybe even that join button down below. So buckle up, Buttercup. This one's going to be a pretty fun one and kind of a knowledgeable one too. All right, so basically we're exploring the differences between a desktop environment and a window manager. Now, let's start with the basics. Many of you might be wondering, what the heck is a desktop environment? Well, a desktop environment versus a window manager is really basically the best way to describe it is a desktop environment is kind of like the foundation of your operating system and your system's user's interface, really. It provides you with a friendly look and feel, all the icons that you need, wallpapers, menus, and all the fancy schmancy visual elements that make your computer experience what you enjoy. You know, from transitioning windows, all that good stuff. Some good examples of those would be like your GNOME desktop environment, your KDE, your XFCE desktop environment. You got also Budgie, Cinnamon, Mate. You got a ton of them out there. On the other hand, you have a window manager, and well, kind of like the name implies, all it really does is manage the windows and the real estate of the window on the screen. It takes care of the window placement and the resizing and providing an overall graphical framework for your applications to launch in their Windows format whenever you launch them. It's kind of like the conductor of a symphony. It basically calls the shots and tells which section to play, whether it's the wind section, the string section, the brass section, the tympanic section, whichever. It just tells it all what to do. And it just makes sure that everybody's playing nicely and making a beautiful flow of music. There's some that are popular out there that you may have heard of that are window managers. One that a lot of people often confuse with being an actual desktop environment is OpenBox. It's a floating window manager. It opens up windows in a floating format. You can make a full screen, tile, and whatever you want to do. But that one is often confused with an actual desktop environment when it's really not. So there's OpenBox. Then you have the beginner's basic one that I suggest people dive into is i3. Now, if you're on Wayland, you want to do Sway. They're both, the key bindings are all the same. Everything works the same. And then you got other ones that are like awesome. BSPWM, Hyperland for Wayland, and I think it's Wayfire, River for Wayland. Those are all Wayland ones. And then you got Qtile and, Xmonad for X11. So there's tons of different window managers out there. Now, one thing that you need to understand too is that there's a difference between the flexibility and simplicity. A desktop environment and a window manager have huge differences in between them. One key distinction is in the approach that the desktop environments are designed to accommodate the needs of a broad user base, for real. They're designed to basically be out of the box experience and mostly come bundled with a bunch of freaking applications, fancy animations already enabled, various customization options already, available and checked out of the box. They also try to provide a more complete window experience that pretty much so anybody can pick up and use. Basically, what most people try to find when they come from Windows to Linux, they try to find a desktop environment that kind of has that same feel, because that's literally what Windows was. Windows provided all that stuff. It's what people have used forever and have known forever. And so when you start dealing with the window manager on the flip side of that, it's more of a minimalist approach. And what it does is it strips out all the fancy bells and whistles that you would get in a desktop environment. It focused solely on the management of the windows and making efficient use of the actual system resources. Historically, an example, not so much now, but when you launch a desktop environment on a cold boot, you're going to get anywhere from 1 gig, or just a little bit under a gig of RAM, to a gig and a half of RAM. Some of the minimalist desktop environments like XFCE will only run about 400 megabytes of RAM. And some of your more extensive ones like KDE, which is a very heavy one that actually uses, a lot of resources and stuff because it has lots of animations, lots of stuff. It's been streamed down to, used to be a 1.5 gigs, but now it actually sits around 1 gig. A window manager, when it starts up, depending on how much you put into it, because you will customize it from the ground up instead of a desktop environment coming already customized for you, set up out of the box. The window manager is very minimalistic, has nothing. It depends on what you put in it. You can get it as little as 400 megabytes, 200 megabytes to start, 300 megabytes to start, to maybe a half a gig, depending on what you do with it. So it makes a lot of efficient use of the system resources for sure. If you're a power user and you like customizing and setting up your stuff, then a window manager is definitely for you. It also spark a lot of speed into your machine. Another thing that we want to focus on is the resource usage and the speed that's directly correlated with a desktop environment versus a window manager. As I stated before, the more bells and whistles you have turned on and enabled in a desktop environment and a window manager are going to use more resources, and it's also going to decrease the speed of your computer. Although window managers historically are a lot faster. The ease of use from using key bindings and stuff and flying through windows and stuff like that, which is takes some time to get used to. Then you actually have the desktop environment, which, if slimmed down and made to be a lightweight desktop environment, you can actually have speed out of that as well, and very little resource. So depending on what you have enabled and what you got going on, it'll let you know, or it'll set the tone for your resources. If you're using older hardware, you might want to go with a light desktop environment versus, a full on like KDE one, maybe OpenBox, XFCE, or a window manager, because it'll be lightning fast. It could breathe brand new life in that old PC. Now, customization is something that's important to some people, and some people it's not. You are a tech loving person at heart and you love to customize stuff, then window managers have to be it. You know what I mean? But then again, you also have, like, KDE desktop environment is actually known for its customization ability. GNOME, not so much. There's some window manager or some desktop environments that don't allow you to customize a lot of things, and GNOME's one of those. With KDE, it looks gorgeous. Usually, right out of the box, you'll find other distributions that already do the theming for you, like Garuda Linux and Zero Linux, those kind of stuff. I mean, there's tons of forks out there that allow you to do that. Desktop environments are designed to be customizable, with offering usually a ton of themes that you can download, implement globally, widget options, all those kind of things. You can actually tweak even the position of the taskbar and the color scheme of your windows. I mean, in some of these distributions, some other ones like GNOME, you cannot. On the other hand, window managers, they take customization to way the next level. Like I said, you have to sometimes write a lot of scripts. It's a little bit more difficult to do, but you actually have more customization ability in a window manager than a lot of your desktop environment. So if you want to just kind of tailor make it for your own look desired, then do that, and then save your dot files, and then you can just reboot right into it on a different distribution if you want, with the same type of window manager, and there you go. So really, those are the kind of the biggest differences between a desktop environment and a window manager, is the customization, what's done out of the box for you versus what's not done out of the box for you. And basically, you having to decide really what you want to have. Do you want something that's all extensively predefined for you, or one that is basically what you put in the box on it? Really, just jump in, have fun with either one. If you don't like one, try flipping into the other one, try the other one, or if maybe you like switching between both, like me. I use, I can use a desktop environment as well as a window manager. I mean, it's not doesn't make any difference to me. But either way, thanks for sticking around, man. Guys, it really means the world to me. You guys do that. Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button if you haven't already, and of course the notification button. And until the next time, I'll tell you to keep doing what you do. Keep on Linux and stay safe, stay blessed, and above all, I will see you in the very next one.